This is Guinea-Bissau, West Africa. It's one of the world's poorest countries. Most people eat only one meal a day. Little works here in a country still recovering from a bloody civil war. Now Guinea-Bissau faces a new nightmare: an invasion by drug traffickers.
We're heading out under cover of darkness to meet a contact. It's too risky to meet him by day. He's going to give us a tour of the capital, Bissau, and show us the scale of the drug problem here.
But these drugs are not for Guinea-Bissau. They're headed for our streets. I'd come to investigate how this corner of West Africa is pumping cocaine into the heart of Europe.
It's totally dark out here. There's no electricity. All I see is the light from a few candles and the headlights of a few cars.
We're touring the streets of the capital, Bissau. We're hoping to get our first glimpse of the drug trafficking network.
We're heading off to meet a contact. We're driving by night because of the risks. Not only can we not reveal his identity, but we can't say who he works for. It might endanger his life.
We met him and a colleague in a remote part of town. They checked we weren't being followed. Our source is well connected with the traffickers. He said the drug barons are operating in the open. He could show us the houses where they lived.
We seem to be on the edge of town, on the outskirts.
We pulled up next to the house of a local drug distributor.
There's a security guard out front. Looks like his car is here. Looks like he's got a few security guards around his house.
Most people in Guinea-Bissau could only dream of owning a mansion like this.
Tell me about this guy. How much coke does he distribute?
He said it was on a massive scale. Tons of cocaine are being shipped through Guinea-Bissau every week from South America.
He says this drug distributor has set up a network of drug distribution throughout Africa. He uses young women as mules who travel to Europe. Some of his cocaine is sent by boat.
Guinea-Bissau, and everybody knows it, plays the role of warehouse. You know, the drug come from Colombia. They store it here until they distribute it.
Looks like the drug distributor has arrived.
We pulled away quickly. Our contact said they could show us another mansion, this one owned by a Colombian.
Okay, can we get this close? Okay, so this is...
It was too dangerous to stop.
Couldn't film the house of the drug dealers. It was surrounded by security men, and so we had to get out as fast as we could.
We headed for the home of yet another drug baron.
Is it this house? Le Grand ici? I'm being told not to point. This is the home of another Colombian drug trafficker.
In the darkness, we'd failed to spot one of his security guards.
Be careful with this guy coming. Don't let him see that you're filming.
Okay, we've been told to put our camera down. We've been told not to let this guy see that we're filming.
Okay.
But he'd already seen our camera.
No. Let's go. Come on, go. We got to get out of here. We were just seen by a security guard who just got on his phone and began calling in security.
We decided to call it a night. If you're looking for a failed state, this is it. Not much works, and its people are dirt poor. They speak Portuguese. Guinea-Bissau was a colony until 1974. Since then, it's been paralyzed by coups and political infighting. Its buildings still bear the scars of a civil war fought 9 years ago. We were told people first realized drug barons were moving in 2 years ago, after a boat wreck.
We're heading to a village along the coast where we hear a major shipment of coke sank out at sea, its contents washed ashore. No journalists have ever been there. We don't know what we'll find. We don't know if anyone will even talk to us.
We drove several hours south of the capital.
This is the beach port of Suru. We're going to see if we can find some fishermen to talk to.
Guinea-Bissau has hundreds of kilometers of unguarded coastline. It's a trafficker's paradise. We'd heard after the boat wreck millions of dollars of cocaine washed up here.
Bon dia, nice to meet you. We've come down here to find out if there's any information about a boat sinking off this coast carrying cocaine. Yes, he does know about it. He says the boat ran ashore on a sandbank and bags of cocaine floated ashore. Do you know what happened to the cocaine? He says initially the villagers here didn't know what the bags were. Some threw the bags away, others thought it was flour and they put it on their bodies for African ceremonies. He says only later did people know it was coke and begin to sell it.
He told us some bought houses in the capital, some even moved to Europe.
He says it was a blessing from God for those who found the coke. The fisherman said he doesn't know where the cocaine comes from, but we've heard much of it is flown into the Bijagos Islands here off the coast of Guinea-Bissau.
There are more than 50 islands off the coast, many of them uninhabited. We'd been told traffickers were using the islands as drop-off points.
It's pretty clear why the traffickers are operating with such impunity out here. We've been out on these seas for about an hour. We haven't seen a single patrol boat.
Our sources told us the Colombians were using one island in particular where the Portuguese had built an airfield.
We're coming up on the port of Buba. We know we're going to be closely watched. It's a sensitive location, so we're going to put our camera down.
Bubac is occasionally visited by Europeans who go deep-sea fishing, so we posed as tourists.
It's strangely quiet here. From what we've been told, there are regular flights coming onto this island carrying massive amounts of cocaine, so despite all appearances, it seems there's an awful lot happening under the surface here.
That night, we met up with a contact who agreed to show us the airfield. We had to go under cover of darkness so as not to be seen by traffickers or their informants. The last journalist who tried to film the airfield was arrested and beaten.
Do you think the police will be patrolling the airfield? He says it'll probably be quiet tonight because he's not expecting any aircraft to land. But when planes are landing, this place is surrounded with police. There's somebody coming. There are 2 torches here.
We saw torchlights ahead of us. Our contact got nervous.
He's telling us to move. We want to get away from these people. We're walking along a dirt road toward a wide open space. The forest has been cut open. Is this it? This is the airfield.
We'd reached the runway. Our contact said it was several kilometers long.
He said the planes land down there at the start of the airfield. They taxi up to here, where they find cars waiting for them. The coke is unloaded, and it's driven in that direction over toward the port, where it's unloaded onto boats and shipped off to Bissau. Who is working with the traffickers here on the island?
He told us everyone was involved.
He says he's seen official cars drive up and collect boxes of cocaine. And he says the police are here protecting everyone.
If our contact was right, some authorities were protecting the traffickers. We wanted to find out if anything was being done to stem this flow of drugs, so we returned to the capital.
We're heading to see Guinea-Bissau's drug chief. Here on this main street is their office. This is where the battle against drug trafficking is being fought.
Or so we thought. It turned out the last major drug bust was back in April. Over half a ton of coke was seized. The traffickers were released on bail. Lucinda Akari had just been appointed head of the country's anti-drug unit. She wanted to show us what her officers were up against.
And what do you have here? Are these the vehicles you use to make your drug busts with?
It seems the drugs unit was not at the top of the queue for government resources.
Mas este ano já não é possível. Este tem graves problemas.
She says this car's not working, it's got tire problems, they don't have the money to buy new tires. One of their other main cars here isn't working, it has no engine. And she says she herself doesn't even have a car to do her work in.
The country doesn't even have a proper prison. Some of the only cells are here at the police station.
Going to meet the one prisoner here at the police station. We've just been told that prisoners recently fled through this hole in the ceiling. When did they flee? And how did they get away with this?
Diariamente se está ali porque no momento é Castelha. Pronto, é expulsada a entrar desde manhã.
Okay. She just said that every day there are prisoners who flee from this detention center. But what about your police officers? Aren't they guarding the station?
Não, guarda tem uma zita seca lá atrás. De noite porque ali escuridão. Eletricidade que tem.
She says they have only one guard here. They have no resources. They don't even have electricity. So it's at night that these prisoners flee when nobody's watching them. This is the drugs unit? This is the drugs unit.
Essa é tudo de amas.
I see no phones, no computers, nothing.
Nothing.
With so little being done to fight trafficking, public outrage is on the rise. We went to one of Bissau's most popular radio stations to hear it for ourselves.
This station has been at the center of the anti-drug movement.
We arrived at Radio Bombolom in the middle of a call-in show.
The phones have been ringing off the hook since we got here. Dozens of callers have been calling in to express their outrage over the drug problem here. Lots of questions. Where are these drugs coming from? Who's bringing them in? Why isn't the government doing more to stop them?
The presenter told us this was nothing special. He hosts these shows every day.
He says concerns are increasing because every day people are seeing more and more planes landing. People are worried. They're worried about the future of Guinea-Bissau.
Recently, a human rights activist, Mario Sagomez, had gone on the radio and accused authorities of cooperating with the traffickers. He'd received death threats and been forced into hiding.
We're going to pick Mario Sagomez up on the street. It's too dangerous to talk to him in public, so he's taking us to a safe house. I'm just really worried that the police are following us. He's already in hiding, his life is already in danger, and we don't want to lead them to his hideout.
C'est toi qui marches comme ça devant.
Okay, it looks like
It's him.
it looks like this is Mario up ahead. Here, stop.
Yeah,
Arrêtez, arrêtez. This is him. This is him. Hello. Hello. Nice to meet you.
Once he was certain we weren't being followed, Mario took us to his hiding place.
Put your life.
Okay, we've got to turn the light off now. It's not safe.
Turn it off now.
Once inside, he told us we could turn our camera light back on. Mario said he'd been in hiding for nearly a month.
Mario, you're running from the police. Are you sleeping at all?
No, yeah, that's the problem, you know. If I say sleep, it's just to rest.
Mario told us he had information from inside the military proving authorities were cooperating with the traffickers.
Colombians are here. The police, the military, they know them. How they can arrest them?
So you're saying the police and the military are letting Colombian drug traffickers operate openly here in Guinea-Bissau?
Yes, they're here.
He showed us evidence linked to drugs being flown into the country. He said Guinea-Bissau was being bought wholesale by narco-traffickers.
Narco-traffic people, they have a good relationship with the people who have power. We know that if it's not that, nobody can just come in one country. You are a foreigner with 600 and something kilos of cocaine and move around in the city.
Why is the government not doing anything to stop drug trafficking?
I don't know. All this problem is the corruption in the top level.
It was the day Guinea-Bissau remembers workers killed at the start of its war of independence against the Portuguese. But we noticed some of the marchers were carrying banners demanding Guinea-Bissau free itself from a new tyranny, the tyranny of drug traffickers.
A very somber day here in Bissau. People are commemorating war deaths, but they're also mourning the loss of their country to drug trafficking.
The march turned into Guinea-Bissau's first ever rally against drugs.
The former president of Guinea-Bissau is saying we want a country free of corruption, a country free of drug dealers, and he's calling on the government to do far more to fight drug trafficking. He says the army cannot remain silent. It's got to do something. He says the army has got guns. It's got to use those guns and protect the country against drug traffickers.
But the army can only act if the generals and politicians want it to. We'd heard that wasn't the case. The only way to confirm this was to get to someone on the inside. A meeting was arranged, but to protect our source, we had to film covertly. We were picked up on a deserted street corner.
We finally made contact with somebody inside the Secret Services after weeks of trying. He's agreed to talk to us about drug trafficking here in the capital. It's an extremely sensitive meeting.
We met him in a darkened house. One of our contacts stood watch at the door. He'd agreed to meet us only if we hid his identity.
Tell us what you know about the drug network in Guinea-Bissau.
Mas a nós nunca deseja peticionar esse tipo de rede porque não tem uma vida normal. Mas mais tarde olha como aquilo que tem que fazer para libertar o país e por isso que nem é caminho.
He says because the government has no money, it has not been able to develop the country, it has not been able to pay any salaries, it has opened its arms to drug trafficking. This way, there is more money in the country. He says everybody is involved in the drug trafficking business. Ministers, the military, the police, everyone. What have you seen?
Bom, nunca em presenciar na grande quantidade que apanha.
Suddenly, our lookout whistled a warning. Someone appeared to be approaching.
Okay?
He says he's never been involved in the drug trade, but he's had members of the armed forces come to him and ask him to find clients for them, people that they can sell their cocaine to. He says there are people here who believe that the drug trade is a very good thing for Guinea-Bissau. What are the consequences of the drug problem here?
Único politicino e guerra. Só guerra, porque a maioria das partes que estamos envolvidas no problema é militar.
He says one of the major consequences could be another war. He says you've got the officials and the military involved in the drug trade, and you've got members of the police opposed to it. There could be a war between the police and the military. He says there could also be a war between members of the military.
He said different branches of the military were likely to fight over the spoils, and an already failed state could fracture even further.
We've heard charge upon charge made against the government, so we're here to get some answers from the Prime Minister. Prime Minister Martino Ndafa Kabi had only recently been appointed after yet another political crisis. But people tell us if the government really wanted to fight the drug trade, if it wanted to stop the drug trade, it could. But for instance, your drug police have just one car for their drug busts. How serious is this government in fighting the drug trade? He said the government is serious, but the country has no money to fight drugs. But you say you have no resources, and yet we see wealthy houses, we see ministers with big cars. Why is it that the drug police have just one car? They cannot do their work. It doesn't look like your government is serious. He said the government doesn't have money for any of its needs. But given the scale of the drug trafficking here, it suggests that many people in the military and the Navy are involved, and we have heard from inside sources, inside the security services, that in fact they are involved.
Esse problema identificado. Agora, como, quando, qual meio e qual momentos que está fazido, nunca se.
He says, as the head of the government, he has no evidence of the involvement of security services in the drug trade. But he says fighting drugs is a priority here. However, Guinea-Bissau is a very fragile country. It has no resources, and it needs the help of the international community to fight this growing problem. It can't do it alone. The next day, we got a call from the activist in hiding, Mario Sá Gomes. He wanted to take refuge at the United Nations offices in the capital, and he asked for our help. We're going to get Mario and take him to the UN building, but we're a little worried. We're not sure if we're being followed by the police. We think our phones are being tapped, and we don't want to compromise Mario's safety. We met Mario in the hideout where we'd interviewed him a few days earlier. Mario. Hello. Good to see you. Fine. How are you doing? Good. Are you ready to go to the UN?
Yeah.
Great. To avoid detection, we went by back streets. Hi there, it's Kate. We've got Mario with us. We'll be arriving in about 5 minutes. Okay, very good. Okay. See you soon. I just spoke to the number 2 at the UN. He said he's going to meet Mario at the gate. The international community knows Guinea-Bissau is a cocaine gateway to Europe, but it's given little support to the fight against drugs here. Without our help, Mario Sá Gomes might still be in hiding. Mario, we'll see you soon. Anti-drug activists here have been demanding international help. Here today, a small sign of support. But it's coming a little late. With the drug traffickers on the verge of taking over Guinea-Bissau, the country seems condemned to remain a failed state, condemned by Europe's inaction and our growing hunger for cocaine.
Next week, 4 reports on the awful conditions children face in Honduras. That's at 7:35.